Mm-hmm. Oh my god, go back. No. Hey, look at it, stop things.
Then first saw Elliot's sister. You ain't wrong. All I'm saying, video games cause violence. Laser beam with the largest ever melon farm. Melons have never heard.
You're a fantasy football free agent. Everyone wants to sign you. But the official NFL fantasy app is pulling out all the stops. You want to go to Super Bowl 54?
South Beach, baby.
You want to go shopping with DeAndre?
I'll do everything.
How about going to your team?
Usually, waking up because you have to go to the bathroom is annoying. But on May 26, 2013, waking up and leaving his bunk to use the bathroom was a decision that saved 29-year-old Harrison Ojegba Okene's life. Through an odd twist of fate, Harrison ended up being the lone survivor of a boat sinking at sea. He can lay claim to a unique title. He's the only person in the world to have survived on the seafloor for nearly 3 days. The Gulf of Guinea in the southeast Atlantic Ocean is rich with petroleum-laden layers of sedimentary seabed. Many offshore oil rig drilling operations dot the African coast here. On May 26th, about 20 miles off of Escravos, Nigeria, in choppy seas, 3 tugboats pitched and yawed as they performed tension tow functions on a Chevron oil tanker filling up at single buoy mooring number 3. Just before 5 a.m., the tugboat Jascon 4 was caught by a large rogue wave and capsized. Because of ongoing piracy problems in the Gulf, security protocol on the tugboat was that the 12-man crew would lock themselves in their room when sleeping. Unfortunately, this rule slowed down the Jascon 4's crew when they tried to escape. The crew members had to first scramble out of their cabins, that is, except for the vessel's cook, Harrison, who had gotten up to use the bathroom in his underwear. When the tugboat keeled over and the ocean rushed in, Harrison had to force the bathroom's metal door open against the wall of water. The pressure of the water was extremely strong, and Harrison was unable to follow some of his colleagues to the emergency hatch. He watched in horror as a surge overwhelmed 3 crew members and swept them out of the boat into the raging sea. Then, the water pushed Harrison down a narrow hallway into another bathroom which adjoined an officer's cabin. Dazed and bruised, but miraculously still alive, Harrison held onto an overturned wash basin to keep his head above water in the 4-foot square bathroom. The boat sank nearly 100 feet, eventually coming to rest upside down on the seabed. When the tugboat capsized, there was an immediate rescue operation launched with the other boats in the area and a helicopter. A diving crew quickly located the wreck and marked the location with buoys. They banged on the hull. Harrison hammered back, but they didn't hear him. As the divers weren't prepared for deep diving, they could only stay at the depth of the wreck for a limited period of time. The rescue was called off due to no evidence of survivors. After nearly a day of being in the bathroom, Harrison got up the courage to leave his little air pocket. In pitch darkness, he swam and felt his way into the engineer's office. Miraculously, there was another air pocket here, too, of about 4 feet high in Harrison's estimation. Having solved the immediate problem of having air to breathe, Harrison could focus on other concerns. The first one being that he was cold. In May, the surface temperature of the East Atlantic on average is a pleasant 81.9 degrees Fahrenheit, but Harrison was 100 feet down, shivering, wet, and wearing only boxer shorts. Harrison faced hypothermia, or his body losing heat faster than he could produce it. Cautiously, Harrison felt his way around the cabin. He found some tools and used them to strip off wall paneling. With a mattress and the material from the wall, he was able to make a platform to sit on. This platform helped Harrison to stay afloat and lifted the upper half of his body out of the water, allowing him to reduce heat loss. Hungry, thirsty, cold, and stuck in complete darkness, Harrison was terrified. He tried to think about his family. Quite religious, whenever he felt especially scared, Harrison would pray and call on Jesus to rescue him. Over time, the seawater began to remove the skin from Harrison's tongue. He could smell something rotting. He thought it was the decomposing bodies of his former shipmates. Every small sound in the dark was magnified. The creaking of the hull, the banging of the wreckage against the walls, and most horrifically, splashing and eating noises as fishes nibbled at corpses. Meanwhile, a dive support vessel, the Luek Toucan, arrived to the area of the sinking. The parent company of the Jascon 4, West African Ventures, had hired a deep-sea salvage saturation diving team from subsea services company DCN Global to retrieve the bodies of the lost crew members. The 6 divers, deck crew, and technical staff of the Luek Toucan knew it was going to be a grueling mission. Aside from the heart-rending work of recovering the dead, the boat had sunk upside down into soft mud, stirring up fine silt and creating extremely poor visibility. Furthermore, because of the security protocols, the boat was latched from the inside. Dive Team 2 consisted of Nico Van Heerden, Andre Erasmus, and Daryl Oosthuizen, with Supervisor Colby Ware topside on the ship, helping to guide the divers via a connected microphone while watching the dive through a camera worn by Nico. The team spent over an hour breaking through an external watertight door, and then a second metal door to get into the sunken boat. Once inside, it was extremely disorienting, with the ceiling being on the bottom and the floor overhead. The murky water was filled with all sorts of hazards, including furniture and equipment. Slowly, painstakingly, the divers explored the boat. They'd recovered 4 corpses when Nico crawled up the stairs to the main deck. It was a tight squeeze with the diving gear on his back. He was in a small passageway getting his bearings when something suddenly reached out to Bert and touched him. Harrison had nearly given up hope when he heard a noise that sounded like an anchor dropping. Then eventually he heard hammering on the hull of the boat. He knew it had to be divers. He banged on the wall but didn't think they heard him. Then Harrison saw the light from one of the divers' head torches as he swam through the hallway past the far end of the cabin. Unfortunately, the diver was too quick and left the area before Harrison could reach him. But then came the magical moment. You may have seen the surreal, amazing rescue footage from Nico's video when he sees what he believes is another dead body. He touches the corpse's hand, and the hand unexpectedly squeezes his. Nico has a momentary freakout as his supervisor Colby shouts through the microphone, "He's alive! He's alive!" Colby then tells Nico to comfort Harrison by patting him on the shoulder and giving him a thumbs up sign. The divers were amazed to find Harrison alive. The maximum depth for recreational diving is 130 feet. Generally, recreational divers don't stay at 100 feet for more than 20 minutes. In terms of the air pocket, the divers had reached Harrison just in time. A human inhales roughly 350 cubic feet of air every 24 hours. However, because the boat was under pressure on the ocean floor, scientists estimate that Harrison's air pocket had been compressed by a factor of about 4. If the pressurized air pocket were about 216 cubic feet, it would contain enough oxygen to keep Harrison alive for about 2.5 days. When Harrison was located, he had been underwater for about 60 hours. An additional danger came from the carbon monoxide or CO2 buildup. CO2 is fatal to humans at a concentration of about 5%. As Harrison breathed, he exhaled carbon dioxide, slowly increasing the levels of the gas in the tiny space. However, CO2 is absorbed by water, and by splashing the water inside his air pocket, Harrison inadvertently increased the water's surface area, thereby heightening the absorption of CO2 and helping to keep the gas below the lethal 5% level. The divers described Harrison as having CO2 poisoning, being short of breath and delirious when they found him. He wouldn't have lasted much longer. The divers first used hot water to warm Harrison up, then fitted him with an oxygen mask. Meanwhile, on the surface, the dive support crew was in contact with medical and diving experts, discussing how to best help the survivor. Harrison had a new problem, what divers commonly call the bends. The bends, also known as decompression sickness or caisson disease, occurs when nitrogen bubbles form in the blood as a result of changes in pressure. If Harrison ascended directly from 100 feet underwater to the surface of the ocean, the bubbles in his blood would cause, in the best case, joint pain and rashes, to the worst case, paralysis, neurological issues, cardiac arrest, or possibly even death. It was decided that Harrison would be treated as if he were one of the saturation divers coming up after a dive. Harrison spent about 20 minutes getting used to breathing through the mask. Then the divers put a diving helmet and harness onto him. They were a little worried that he would panic as they got him out of the boat and would be a danger to the dive, but Harrison continued to be cool under pressure. The team was impressed with his level demeanor. Harrison was taken from the boat and led to a diving bell, which took him to the surface. He finally arrived topside at around 7 p.m. on Tuesday, the 28th of May. Disoriented, Harrison thought that it was Sunday evening and that he'd only been trapped for 12 hours. He was shocked to learn that he'd been underwater for over 2 days. From the diving bell, Harrison was moved to a decompression chamber where he stayed for another 2.5 days while his body decompressed to surface pressure. Of the 12 crew members on board the tugboat Jascon 4, divers rescued 1 survivor and recovered 10 of the bodies. The search for the 11th crew member had to be called off due to dangerous conditions. Harrison made a full recovery from his ordeal and returned to his hometown of Warri, Nigeria. He didn't go to the funerals of his colleagues because he feared their families' reactions. Nigerians can be very religious, but are also superstitious. Some rumors spread that Harrison saved himself through black magic. Harrison was also plagued with survivor's guilt, wondering why he was the only one to live. Since the incident, Harrison's experienced PTSD. His wife, Akbofono Okene, says he suffers nightmares. Harrison will suddenly awake, screaming and flailing, convinced that he's underwater. Harrison has since taken a cooking job on dry land and vows to never again take a position on a boat. He made a pact with God when he was at the bottom of the ocean. When I was under the water, I told God, if you rescue me, I will never go back to the sea again. Never. Do you think you could survive underwater for 3 days like Harrison did?
Dude, all these people praying to God to survive, dude. It's just obvious evidence. I don't know people. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah.
There was a guy standing on my patio. A tall guy with black hair covering half of his eyes, making him look like a male version of the Ring Women or something. I could hear him making high-pitched sounds, almost like a cat meowing. A brown liquid was running down from his mouth, and I could see him spitting out my dad's stomped cigarettes. He was actually eating from the ashtray. I was frozen observing this. Eventually snapped out of it and screamed so loud that the man must have heard it. He didn't react. He kept on eating from the ashtray. I ran upstairs to my room, locked the door, and called my mom, who then called the cops. I've never been more terrified in my life. Laying in bed under my sheets, shivering with fear, as I hear these creepy high-pitched noises from the guy eating cigarette stumps from the ashtray on my patio. I kind of blacked out for a moment, because the next thing I remember is the police arriving on the road by my yard. I hear them talking to the guy, saying stuff like, "What are you doing? Get over here or we'll come down and arrest you," and so on. He didn't respond, but the high-pitched sounds were more frequent and louder. I decided to look through the window, feeling safe now that the cops were there. I could see 2 police officers standing by my fence, 1 man and a woman. I did not see the creepy man, however, because he was standing directly 1 story under me in my field of view. The police jumped the fence, and I remember hearing the creepy guy screaming louder than anything I've ever heard before. He charged the female police officer with full force, and he knocked her out cold. The male officer then immediately tased the guy, leaving him shaking on the ground, screaming still. Do you want to hear the third part of the story? Click here.
Listen up. The soap you shower with?
Shit.
You
Oh,
probably
fuck
haven't
you, bitch.
It's time! Photoshop battle. Are you ready to go to war? This is about to be gruesome. We're about to go to war with the polygonal lasso tool. Maybe throw in some pen tools, smudge tools, paint bucket tools. Man, I'm about to use all the tools of war to destroy my competition because, ladies and gentlemen, we do these every 2 months. But it is time for Photoshop battle. We've got to sponsor this episode. Righto, this video is sponsored by Raid Pacific Spix. If you have any 50,000 people post images, then everyone competes to make the stupidest Photoshop. This counterfeit $100 bill. Yes, that looks like the legitimate face that would be on $100. Alright, let's just start with some basic Photoshops. I'll flex some of my talent. Yes, it's beautiful. This'll work. I don't think you can improve the original, but I'm trying my best. Yeah, right, so I know it's not good. If someone handed you this, you'd think it was a real $100. It's just me face slapped onto a $100 bill. No, like, part of the fun is Photoshopping my own stuff, but the other part of the fun is see what everyone else did. Alright, what is working and new? I've already lost. He's already gone and done, mate. National treasure. It's just like Nicolas Cage. I mean, the Nicolas Cage face kind of just does look like my face.
You don't say.
What did this guy do, eh? If this was a war, I've just been blitzkrieged. He slapped the face on Elon Musk. I'm going to give the win to the guy that did the full blow paint. Photoshop battle this 3D Bumblebee. Oh my god, that is the scariest thing ever. Alright, just like the French in World War II after getting blitzkrieged, I will come back and sweep. Look at this, great Photoshop. What a great Photoshop. Yeah, this is how we come back in the war, boys. This is how we do it. This is how we fight back against the Blitzkrieg. That's some incredible work. You know, you've been playing a little bit too much Minecraft when you see Minecraft in everything. Let's go to war over this beat. Let's Photoshop battle. Look, I'm sure there's going to be some B-movie ones, but we'll see. What did Sergeant Pepper do? Yep, see, he's gone and done a B-movie one. Detective B. There's supposed to be like Detective Pikachu. Nah, none of these guys did Minecraft Bees, therefore they all suck and I win. See guys, we've already won a Photoshop battle. Oh yeah, this is an image of Texas cops guarding the ice cream. You remember that chick that like licked the ice cream or something? So yeah, let's go to war, boys. Oh, now I brought out the big guns. I actually put effort into this. YouTube guarding money bags from getting to the laser beam channel. The money bags keep trying to get in. Look, I rarely even get the demonetized yellow symbol anymore, but my ads still suck. I don't get it. Alright, let's see what the other combatants have to offer. May Fish, I see him all the time. He's a good fighter. That is just horrifying. What did Mandalore do? Okay, this is going so many layers deep. They've just added John Travolta. May Fish has responded. And now Barack Obama's involved. Alright, so clearly the police are guarding a super secret club. And all I can think of is like, how do I get invited to this party? Why don't I get involved? See, like some of these people submit stuff that I just don't understand. Are they guarding an aquarium? I don't think. Alright, well, I obviously won it, but if I'm not allowed to win it, I'm going to give it to the weird Austin Powers, Barack Obama, John Travolta thing. We've got another B one. How coincidental. Ant holding up a B. Alright, you all ready for a super incredible Photoshop? Is this work? Let me tell you, Minecraft's truly taken over everything. Yes, look at that. How do I keep coming up with these incredible ideas? See what the competition's done. Not really sure where I was going with this. Oh, he's done a full animation. He's made the ants start yeeting the bees. It's not a Minecraft bee. Tag team match. Some people come up with the dumbest crap. Alright. I think the winner is obvious. It's obviously me. Look.
I wasn't even paying attention. I forgot I was streaming, honestly. $40 and 20 minutes.